without engagement from each and every one of you and all of our departments at City Hall, we wouldn't be able to be putting together this 10-year strategic plan, the first in quite some time. And so first, just thank you for your commitment, your dedication, all of your brilliant thought and your energy. And in advance, thank you for all of the work that you'll put in to help implement this 10-year vision for City Hall. My name is Bradford Davey. If I haven't had the chance to engage with you yet, I have the honor of serving alongside you as Chief of Staff to the City of Cleveland and Mayor Justin Bibb. And today we are going to be rolling out our 10-year strategic vision for the City of Cleveland. But before we do that, we want to have some remarks from our senior leaders at City Hall, starting with our elected officials, our City Council President, Blaine Griffin.
Well, good morning. How's everyone doing today? All right, it's a great day to be a public servant in the city of Cleveland. Before I go any further, I do want to always acknowledge a couple of colleagues that are here. I know I just seen Rebecca Morrow, Councilwoman Rebecca Morrow that's in. She just came in. Do I see any other council people? I know we got a committee meeting, so a couple of other council members may be coming in as well. First of all, let me say thank you to all of the workers and all of the leadership that are here today. This city does not run without you. And I want to tell you on behalf of Cleveland City Council, we truly appreciate you. We appreciate all of the hard work that all of you do day to day to be public servants to the city of Cleveland and to the residents of the city of Cleveland. But today is very important. Cleveland City Council invested to Mayor Bibb approximately $1 million to do a study to really try to focus on how do we make government more efficient. In the 21st century, we know that AI is real. We know that all of these things that we have to do in order to make sure that we embrace technology and other things to make City Hall more efficient is very critical. And I'm happy that we invested in EY in order to make sure that they looked at all of our business practices, but learned mostly from you on how we can really make sure that this city runs in an efficient manner. Ladies and gentlemen, the residents and the stakeholders of the city of Cleveland deserve it. We know you work hard, we know you bring a lot to the table, but this is the 21st century and we really need to make sure that our business model is the best model that we can have, and that's why we're happy that you're here today to hear this 10-year strategic plan. So on behalf of Cleveland City Council, we look forward to working closely with the mayor, Chief Davey, and all of you on a day-to-day basis to make sure that we have the best services possible for the city of Cleveland. Thank you, and keep up the great work, everybody.
Chiefs and directors will know this well. Mayor Bibb will regularly say, you can't manage what you can't measure. So many of us are familiar with trackers and accountability tools to ensure we know where we're going as a team. So when Mayor Bibb took office, it wasn't surprising to many of us that he said we have to set a strategic course for success. So we know where we're going and how we can measure that progress. We couldn't be happier with our colleagues in EY in helping us get there, but it really all started with the strategic leadership and vision of Mayor Bibb putting a flag in the ground and saying we have to figure out where we're going together as a team. And so to present our 10-year strategic plan, I'll invite Mayor Justin Bibb to the podium.
How y'all doing? Now it's 70 degrees and sunny in March. How y'all doing? There it is. First, I want to just thank the council president and members of City Council, Councilman Polincic, Councilwoman House-Jones, Councilwoman Moore, and Councilman Harsh for their partnership and investing in this effort and seeing the importance of using ARPA funds to lay a strong foundation for our city's future. So let's give the council president and council a round of applause if we can. And I'm going to geek out today, and I'm really excited about it because as a leader here, as your mayor, my philosophy of government is pretty simple. I don't believe in big government. I don't believe in small government. I believe in smart government. Smart government. And the work that we have done today, and you'll see later today, is a key part of making that vision a reality. But as Brad mentioned, there were so many people who made this plan possible. And so I want to just start off by asking those of you, stand up if you served on the steering committee. Go ahead and stand. If you acted as a City Hall champion, if you provided input during an interview or a focus group, if you had any input in this plan, please stand up, please. Let's give them a big round of applause if we can. This truly shows that we have an all-of-government approach and complete buy-in in seeing this plan come into fruition. So I want to just start off with the why we're here today. And it's important to set the context because in any strategic plan, you must have a strong foundation of what's going to guide the work. And as Brad mentioned, this is the first time the city has undertaken a strategic plan in nearly over 10 years, since 2009. And the goal of this plan is threefold. Number one, really bringing everybody together at City Hall around a shared commitment for the future. Secondly, making sure we have specific action items and outcomes tied to those action items. And thirdly, what's critical, accountability, accountability, accountability. You know, as Brad mentioned, one of my big sayings is you can't manage what you can't measure. And having key accountability metrics will be a key part of how we bring this plan into reality across all of City Hall. So the how do we get here? We looked locally and far and wide for some of the best minds in strategy consulting. And right down the street, we have one of the best firms, not just in the country, but around the world, in Ernst & Young, who helped guide this work, and they partner with a local firm called Compass Consulting as well, too. And they really did a really good job of getting input from focus groups to one-on-one interviews, to surveys, to talking to chiefs and directors, to really give us a good baseline on what are our biggest challenges, but also what are our biggest opportunities. And there were a lot of important city champions internally that really helped guide EY and Compass Consulting in that baseline analysis. First, leaders like Eric Turk, Lisa Hart, Brittany Montgomery were really helpful in helping us guide and draft our preliminary and finalize a purpose statement. We also had leaders like Leela Abrams-Fitzpatrick, Beverly Johnson, who helped us think about how we are going to redesign our hiring process. And then we had folks that served on our red team, leaders like Brian Kimball, Alberto Guzman, and Alex Abramowitz, who helped us get real near-term feedback on the plan you're going to see today. So our purpose, what's going to be the purpose and the passion that drives this work over time? We've adopted a new purpose statement from our administration to help guide this work, and it will replace the purpose statement that was created by the Jackson administration. And I want to break it down in three critical components. Number one, to inspire confidence. We must do a better job of inspiring confidence to our residents and customers that we serve, not just internally, but externally as well too. Secondly, creating the conditions. Back to my philosophy of smart government, I believe it is our responsibility as leaders at City Hall to create the right conditions for economic development, to closing the racial wealth gap, to making sure that our residents feel confidence that government is working for them every single day. So those conditions are critical to that vision. And lastly, we want to make sure that everyone sees themselves in our city. And we believe that this purpose statement does just that. But as any good leader would tell you, a purpose statement is great, but you need values and principles to guide that work. And at the heart of our principles are what we wake up every single day to do, serving Clevelanders. And it's important that we place them at the center of this new plan for the city. Secondly, we got to embrace change. I'm going to say it again. We got to embrace change. We will no longer accept the idea that, well, this is the way it's always been done, so this is the way we're going to do it. That's unacceptable. And for us to compete and be effective and to really address the structural issues facing our great city, we must embrace change and be open to change and be open to discomfort, because that's how we get better as a government. Thirdly, purpose. How do we make sure that we give all of our employees the tools, the confidence, and skills to do their best work every single day? Before I became mayor, I spent nearly 5 years at the Gallup organization. And they've studied companies from all around the world. And in that big study they did on employee engagement, one of the biggest insights from that study was the biggest driver of employee engagement was, do employees feel like they have purpose every single day? That's what we're trying to achieve and solve with this important critical principle. Fourthly, leading with trust and transparency. Gone are the days where we're afraid to share data. Gone are the days where we're afraid to say, you know what, we're messing up. We got to do better. That's why I'm excited about our upcoming new open data portal that will be launching over the next couple of weeks. But having that trust, having that transparency gives residents and our customers confidence that City Hall is working for them and with them. And then we have to have clear, pragmatic goals and objectives. We want to make sure that the goalposts are clear, actionable, and manageable over time. And then lastly, striving for equity in all that we do. Now, in terms of how we're going to operationalize these important principles, the plan consists of 4 key focus areas. The first that I'm going to talk about is performance. Performance is important because this is where the real work happens around continuous improvement, innovation, and efficiency. And it is how we get better in terms of how we deliver basic city services for our residents. And across all of these 4 key focus areas, there are key initiatives we're going to tee up that'll drive this work. Now, in the performance area, there are 16 initiatives we're going to be focused on. And there's one I want to highlight here this afternoon. The first is really doing a better job of using technology as we think about the RFP and procurement process. I think all of us in this room here recognize that RFP process is nearly 2 decades being outdated. You can say that again, huh? And so already underway in our finance department, we are working to digitize the RFP process. We're also working quickly to have a better automated process for how we deliver payments to our vendors as well, too. And this performance area is important because as we get better, we hope to see some real material impact in terms of service satisfaction that we get from our customers and our residents. And across each of these 4 focus area domains, you're going to see critical KPIs and metrics tied to those focus areas. So in the performance area, how are we going to measure this? Number 1, the percent of residents who rate city services excellent or good. Number 2, the percent of 311 service requests closed on time. And then thirdly, dollars saved from process improvements. If we become more efficient, we have more money to invest in our residents and invest in growing our city long term. Secondly, culture. As the famous business professor once said, a culture eats strategy for lunch. And if we don't have the right culture at City Hall, all of this work will be undermined on both a short and long-term basis. And so it is our hope and goal to ensure that we are creating a culture to make the city of Cleveland an employer of choice to attract and retain good talent. That's about diversity, that's about promoting collaboration, and that's about promoting innovation as well too. And so there will be 12 initiatives tied to the culture focus area, and we'll measure them with 3 KPIs. 1, the percent of employees who are satisfied with their job. It goes back to the earlier point I made about employee engagement, because if our employees are engaged, then our residents and customers will be engaged as well too. Secondly, the percent of supervisors with formal training. We don't have a formalized performance management process across the entire government. And if you want to succeed long term, if you want to do a better job of attracting and retaining good talent, we must have formal management training and formal management processes developed internally across City Hall. Then lastly, average time to hire. And this is one of my favorite new metrics we're going to measure, because it shouldn't take us 6 months, 7 months, 8 months to hire somebody. That is unacceptable. And we have to modernize our processes to attract and retain good talent quickly and efficiently. Next, access. And so you may have seen some early signs regarding this here internally at City Hall, but how do we improve the resident and customer experience when they walk in our building? That means better wayfinding. It means making sure we break down silos between finance and law and building and housing. It means making sure we have more digital products and processes so we actually move at the speed of business internally at City Hall. And when it comes to access, we'll be looking at 3 important metrics. 1, the percent of customers who are satisfied with digital self-service options. I get excited about the day when a resident or a small developer or even a large developer can come to City Hall and see a one-stop shop and manage their project all online via digital tools. That's how we move into the 21st century. Number 2, the number of city services with digital self-service options. Imagine a world where almost everything a resident or a business needs can be done with a digital option. That flexibility is what our residents are seeing when they go to Amazon or FedEx. That's what our companies are experiencing every single day. We have to get to that same level as a local government. And lastly, the percent of core city services available in multiple language. We have a diverse city, and it's important that we do a better job of having accessible, multilingual formats for all of our residents and key constituencies. And one of the key focus area spotlights for this performance area will be the transformation of our physical spaces. So you've seen already some early signs of new wayfinding across City Hall. We want to make City Hall a third space. Whether you're a resident or a student who wants to just study at our library or get a cup of coffee at the cafeteria, we want this to be a vibrant civic space that's well lit and open to the public. It's the people's house. And if you saw the great new art exhibit we have on the second floor, that's one small example of how being a more accessible city government will prove great dividends for us in the future. Lastly, resilience. As you know, we just wrapped up our budget process. The second in a row year we've had a structurally balanced budget. And this whole plan is really about making sure our city has a strong fiscal future. And it's so important that we make these transformational investments to ensure that strong fiscal outlook. And so this focus area will have 16 core initiative action item projects tied to it. One example of this will be the creation of a strategic finance unit inside the Department of Finance. And so this unit will work across government, philanthropy, and the private sector, state government as well too, to make sure we're getting every resource we can to bring more money to the city and more money to City Hall to fund our core priorities. It's also about deploying new tools like our proposed new tax increment financing district, or green bonds, or social impact bonds. How are we thinking differently about how we manage our $2 billion budget? And how are we thinking differently about how we manage our balance sheet to drive more revenue long-term for the city? And so how are we going to measure this? Number one, the recurring revenue we see from assets and other non-tax sources. Two near-term examples, the work we've done with Highland Park Golf Course and the work we're doing with the West Side Market, putting our assets to work to drive more revenue for the city long-term. Secondly, increasing our bond rating, because the higher our bond rating goes, the lower it costs us to finance debt, to fund more parks, rec centers, playgrounds, streets, roads, bridges, all across our city. And then lastly, the net revenue from city-owned properties. Again, putting our assets to work and enhancing our bottom line as an enterprise. And so, these are all great initiatives, all great plans, all great ideas. But how are we going to track these outcomes over time? And as I said before, we want to make sure we're really focused on 6 core outcomes related to this plan. One, it's critical that we improve basic city services. That's our bottom line. That's our bread and butter. And every day we need to wake up focused on how are we getting better at doing the basics as a city. Equitable growth. As you know, we are the second poorest big city in the country. And we have a moral obligation to be bold, be innovative, and be transformative as we think about enhancing equitable growth across all 34 of our neighborhoods. Thirdly, strengthen communication and collaboration. Gone are the days of silos. I'm gonna say that again. Gone are the days of silos. When there's a good idea, let's spread the gospel. When you see a silo, let's have the hard, honest conversation on how to break down those silos, because we can't let our egos get in the way when collaboration is needed to do what our residents expect and demand of us as public servants. Fourthly, increase efficiency. Again, how do we do more with less while also growing our bottom line and enhancing the ability to drive more savings to the city? Having an empowered, purpose-driven workforce. Again, how do we give you the tools, the purpose, the talent development skills and training you need to do your best job every single day? And then lastly, this all boils down to more effective decision-making. With this plan, We believe as we execute it, we will have a stronger foundation to make better decisions that will serve our residents every single day. So who's excited? So you're probably wondering what's happening next. Well, our steering committee will continue to meet with departmental leadership on a regular basis to drive implementation of this plan. Because you're here today, I think it's a good example and a great symbol that this plan is not sitting on my desk to collect dust or anybody's desk to collect dust. This is about putting this plan into action across the entire enterprise. We also are going to be putting our guiding principles all across the building at City Hall. When you leave today, we're going to give you a notebook with all the key principles and values tied to the plan we've launched today as well, too. Our communications team will be sending out an internal email with the full plan for you to read on your spare time this weekend. And as you leave the music hall today in the atrium, we'll have tables and folks gathered around for you to really engage in this plan, give feedback, talk about what you're excited about, and really get your buy-in as we put this plan into action. So as your mayor, as your teammate, as your colleague, I want to just say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Public service, as many of you know, is a noble calling and a noble profession. And we are certainly at an inflection moment in our city. And I think this plan will give us the right foundation and the right vision to really make sure we're one of the best, most progressive, most dynamic cities, not just in America, but across the world, because Cleveland is going to continue to lead the way because of each and every one of you. So let's get to work, and thanks again for your participation. Appreciate it so much.
Thank you. So as we finish up, we got to have a conversation, y'all. We gotta talk about housekeeping. Now, we're not talking about the housekeeping where you left the lunch pail in the mini fridge for too long, or not cleaning out the coffee cups. I'm looking at you, Chief Epstein. We gotta talk about those documents that are in the shelf. And I know all of you in this room know what I'm talking about. The 3-ring binder that you've had for too long, that was handed to you from the person that had your office, your cubicle before you. The one that's collecting dust and isn't a living document anymore. I want to make sure that I reiterate a statement that the mayor made, which is, this ain't that. This ain't that. This is a living, breathing document that we want all employees to engage with over the next 10 years, and one that we plan to engage with. So in addition to engaging outside and getting your notebook with all of the notes, please read the plan, spend some time with it, and then ask questions about the plan. We have so many teammates and so many steering committee members who have been involved in this from the jump that they would be happy to engage and ask questions, and then we want to refine these metrics ourselves. This is a living document. So if there are new ways of doing business, we want to adopt those new ways. We've tried to display our commitment to innovation through the Mayor's Innovation Award. And so we'll be using all of these ways to identify staff ways of working to embed into this plan. So in 5 years, we can refresh it with new ideas and new ways to be successful. We look forward to continued collaboration and implementation, and we can't wait for the mayor's next State of the City to make some real announcements on progress of those KPIs. Thank you for everyone's engagement, particularly the steering committee, and a special acknowledgement to Abby, who has spent an incredible amount of time on this project. So thank you, everybody.